it's compensating for the bit of, windage or whatever.
I can put it off to the side.
Somebody down there. Think you're up?
And I can render it either in 360 so it's manually moving again, or I can do it right like that. And I put it up and I have it off. And I can do one film, but I can
Sure you can. What kind of editing software? Is it GoPro stuff?
Is that like 360? I volunteer.
Our crew is still over at the field.
Catherine's getting away. Wait.
Just lean. That's all we need.
My 360 camera up there. Let's get a real good
So
picture.
we'll wait. Yeah, we're gonna want to rotate the balloon so that the scoop is laying that way and the wind will take it down.
Oh, gotcha.
So we'll get it light so it makes it easy to turn. I can hop out. I will be
You're left.
We're going to spin it counterclockwise. That's the way she's want to roll.
She's trying to get out. Let's be safe here.
I am a pilot myself and I am not graceful at all. So watching me try and get in and out of my own balloon is difficult. Much less this one. So
Where's home for you guys?
Ohio.
Ohio. What part?
Just outside of Columbus.
Okay.
And look at that.
Yeah, check that out.
Oh, cool. He just got out his 360 big.
Oh yeah.
Don't damage
I'm not. You ready? Put it up. Don't put it inside. Put it just
it
off
out.
the edge.
Yeah.
You ready?
You'll
Boys with their
we
fire.
wouldn't want to stick it up in the fire, would we?
No.
Alright. Ready to shut her off? Let's get her skinny before I have to fight. Yeah, but I'm gonna have to run through a ditch, so
Back it up. Back it up.
I don't know if that's gonna be we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Just get it skinny. This is the first flight that you've had here where you've landed scooped down or been able to position yourself scooped down.
No, my first flight on Saturday morning,
Okay.
I was scooped down.
All the lingo. We don't know what we like it. So this thing's called a scoop.
Right.
So you either have a scoop or a skirt on your balloon. Or none. Yeah, some have none, but that's rare. But with a scoop, it helps concentrate when you're going to inflate that flame and everything and the heat going where you want it to be. Where the folks who have a skirt, it has a flexi. I don't know how to describe it, like a wire to that. So it helps to keep the mouth open while you're inflating. So there are benefits to either one. It's really a thing of preference. Whether you have, those running boards on your vehicle or just those little tube things.
That same sort of thing, right?
Preference, right? I am not ready to run yet.
Okay.
Oh, the
Yeah. She's coming back around to be good to go now.
oh. Run! Run, Forrest!
Okay. That's a great jacket you have. Did you see the back of his jacket?
Oh,
Very
nice.
nice.
Is that for all the
Pilots.
pilots?
That's good.
Very
As
cool.
they should.
And then they gave us also a like vest too.
Oh, nice.
It doesn't have
nice.
it doesn't have the patch on the back.
Do you have to pay to enter?
There's an entry fee, but then they give you back some of that plus a gift card plus this
Jackets and
hotel room.
Oh,
good.
nice.
Actually, we're staying in our camper, so they paid for our camper cost for the
Nice.
camper location with electric. I got full hookup.
You commit to the full show.
Yeah, I've got. Well, I should say this. I have water and electricity, and then they'll come in and pump it out
Okay.
for free.
And you stay for the full, from the opening till the closing.
We're leaving out Friday morning after the flight
okay.
because I've got to work on Monday. She's got to work on Monday.
Okay.
We've left our 16-year-old son home by himself since Wednesday night.
Wow.
He's been home a week now by himself.
Party!
Well, he's kind of an introvert, so
That's a good thing for you.
yeah. And he works and he's in the marching band, so the weekends are pretty booked up with working and marching band. Whole balloon double chase.
Thank you. I was going to ask if you would,
Yeah.
mind sharing. So I'll do that.
I don't know what it has from turn out, but you should.
Well, it'll be better than what we got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go do it right now.
Do you need any help from us at all?
Squeezing all the air out of this. Once my crew gets here, we've got a little squeezer that just helps us squeeze, but then we got to put it back in.
Your camera there.
Yeah, it's a 360 camera.
Oh, fun.
So, and I stuck it up inside the.
I saw.
I mean, if you want to see it, give me your email. and
Okay.
I'll email you the link to it.
That's incredible.
Anything we can do?
No, our crew's on their way. So I think right now they just have traffic to navigate getting in. The size of this balloon makes it easy for us to handle this with 4 people. For a family of 4, my 16-year-old son is still at home going to school. But a friend of ours came out to crew for us. So
Turn in there for me.
we can launch in about 7 minutes and get it put away in about 20.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Griffiths is
good. No, not bad.
Okay.
Oh, no, not at all. And, with something like that that's like straight up a people mover, like those things are huge and heavy. This is like, I mean, my balloon's slightly larger than this. This is 69,000 cubic feet, so imagine 69,000 basketballs. Mine's 77,000. We also have, my husband flies for Remax, so that balloon's a little bit bigger than mine at 90,000 cubic feet. So it's one of those things that we gradually get bigger and bigger depending on what we're doing. But to fly more people, you need a bigger balloon to carry more weight. So it's fun. But I don't enjoy this particular balloon because it doesn't have to turn the face. Unless you're turning around in the basket, you can't turn the balloon to face the direction you're flying. My balloon.
Also, sometimes you're flying backwards.
Yes, I do enjoy that. Unless you turn around. But I like the ability that this balloon has to go up and
Past
down.
Rainbow Riders.
This, because of its shape, that football
So
shape,
when you're looking for that little, you get that little spot to get into.
he can call his landing spot like he can a shot. Wow. So he can look and say, I can get into there, just based on watching
Interesting.
the winds. Where when you have the bigger, rounder balloons, it's not as
Yep,
easy
from by the camper.
to get up
Rolls
in
more.
there. Oh yeah. Well, yesterday during the competition flight, though,
we're out in
the winds changed, and later in the morning, the balloons that were big and round had an advantage because the way the wind was pushing them, it was a little bit harder to move them versus the racing balloons. They were zipping, the wind was moving them all around. So it's interesting. If you would have told me 20 years ago that I'd be a hot air balloon pilot, I wouldn't believe you. If you would have told me 10 years ago that we would have 3 balloons, now 4 envelopes in our garage, I would have told you you're crazy. So it's one of those things. Some people have boats, some people have motorcycles, and we have
RVs,
balloons.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and we're on our year 5 of our 10-year plan with our travel trailer, and we will eventually move to a motorized, just with those things in mind. it's a question. I don't know how many years now until I'm ready to buy something from the RV industry after 2020, but
It was a place to be.
yeah.
In an RV for us. No, we're full time.
Right. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, we camped so much last year because all of our stuff was canceled. So we were able to get out in Ohio. I think the weekend after Memorial Day last year, everything opened up for the state parks. So you could at least state park camp and get out.
So, can I ask you a question? In
Yeah.
the area of Ohio,
Mhm.
is there a lot of this going on?
We've lived for a while. We have moved a couple of times in our lives. We lived in Kentucky. Greater Cincinnati.
Middletown. That was the place to be in the late 90s and early 2000s. They had the U.S. national balloon races there. So you would have probably 100 balloons come in and fly for as long as they do here in Albuquerque, but like nine days of ballooning. They still
don't do
have
that anymore.
They haven't hosted the U.S. Nationals in a long time, but they do still have a balloon festival. Pretty much from Memorial Day to Labor Day, we do about 8 to 10 events in Ohio. So
Okay.
Middletown, Findlay, Ashland, Canton for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like that's an amazing. They started induction week with the balloon event. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of flying to be done in Ohio. The advantage there is you can fly in the morning and at night. Where out here you can only fly in the morning. So I'm trying. Why is that? Because of winds and the ground temperature here. When the ground is warm, it puts up thermals. So when you see the birds coasting, that's really bad for the birds.
Interesting.
So I trained in thermals. You have to as part of a pilot's checklist. You don't plan for when that training happens. It just comes up on you and it tosses you around. Oh wow! And it tosses you from the top of the balloon, and you're in the bottom, so you can feel that. And usually there's not a lot of movement. So because the ground gets so hot here during the day, those thermals exist a lot longer into the evening. So we're fortunate we can have weekends, and with 2020, that's how I finished off my license. I got all my flight time in. All the commercial pilots were grounded. They weren't going to events. So I could fly Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and get 5 flights in a weekend and get 5 hours of flight time. The FAA says you have to have 10 hours, which is crazy to me, to get your license. I wasn't comfortable with everything. Too few. No. But for me, I got to about 25 hours, and I felt confident enough, and I had another pilot sign off on me to solo, and then you're solo. You have 90 days from the point that you solo to fly by yourself on your own, build your skills, and then you either have to have somebody else sign off on you to solo again and have that 90-day window of time. But I didn't want to do that, so I finished off the training, did my oral exam, then did my check ride, and got licensed. So I don't think it would have happened had 2020 not been the year that it was. Mm-hmm. Just because you have to have the availability. That's my husband. I sleep next to him. So I know when he's available to fly. But on the flip side, paying passengers and Remax flights, I spend money. When I fly, it costs us money. When he flies, it makes us money. So I try to be very conscious of that. So, and it was good for us to still be able to get outside.
Yes, it is. That's how we felt too. We just kind of felt sorry for our family and friends who were homebound.
Yeah, you couldn't. You really. And depending on what state you were in, and if you're full timers, you could move. You could go to wherever you needed to.
We happened to be in New Mexico, and they were one of the first ones to shut down. Yeah. And so we went to Arizona.
And you were fine.
I mean, and we were fine. And then it got hot, and we went to Utah.
Yeah. In Ohio, it was not restrictive. I work in the security industry, so I was considered essential personnel. So it was nice for me to still be able to roam and do what I needed to do and go to work and not have that disrupted. But with 2 children at home going to school and having to figure out what that looked like and everything else, it was challenging. But for us, we're always outside. Like my husband and Now, for us, we do Thanksgiving flights, we do Christmas flights, we do New Year's flights, we do all sorts of things when we have the chance to do so.
Wow.
Because we keep logbooks, so it's fun to look back in your logbook and see, oh, we flew on Thanksgiving this year, or New Year's,
Wow.
Fun.
or whatever. So,
Your family, they want you to take.
yeah, but it helps. My father-in-law is a pilot. That's how my husband grew up with it. I married into it, and then my husband's sister and her husband have had their student pilot licenses for like 20 years. So when I got my license last year, it was for my brother-in-law to finish his up. Like, he's owned 2 balloons. He's owned it all. He just never got it done. So now he has his license, and we're looking at my sister-in-law saying, okay, it's a year start. So on any given weekend, it can be 4 of us flying together. Oh, in the small town we live in, there are. I know.
I was a little worried.
Why?
They're like, you can't go back there. There's no bridge back there. So I'm like driving that way and around.
Tell me to come to the camper. Get me to the camper. You as well.
Thank you so much.
Well, enjoy your day. There's still
We have to go pack it up.
Oh, goodness. Well, safe travels.
You too.
Thank you.
All of you want to help squeezing it out.
Oh, thank you. We should be in good shape, though.
Okay.
Okay, get the bag.
Did
Yeah, right.
it's filming right now.
Sorry.
That's okay. No.
That is wonderful.
You just
We've not
I have
seen
a
that
student
one.
pilot that flew out
yeah,
Monday
and
night.
I'll do just a plain 360 where you can actually move it with your phone, moving
Yeah,
your
yeah.
phone around,
Took her
or
up yesterday morning.
panning with your
on
finger
the
on the
competition
screen.
flight.
And then I'll do
Worked out
one
that
where I do my editing
lined out
software.
nicely
I'll
with
point
it.
the camera,
Okay.
Now she gets to log.
and you'll
She's
see
flying in
how it looks.
Mexico as well, because
originally
her
forward to see
burner
it.
control going
Oh yeah.
firstly over the field. So I said, here, you put a glove on, take over. Just take over, fly the one over this way, take some heat, go that way. Full balloon to Bull Chase.
Oh, okay.
Our family.
How we doing? We're down.
These people were just totally
Down the road.
down to earth, want to share. Okay.
I
Go
didn't.
ahead.
I mean, I've only been around the ones that I've flown on, but it's nice to.
Yeah.
Bull balloon, go ahead.
We've found that to be true in both the political world and the Army. A lot of people are
Yeah.
just enjoying life.
Just like me, I'm just like,
Leave the house.
college, yeah.
Yeah.
My boys ski. I don't. I'm a terrible skier. But we bought a boat last summer because we didn't have anything to do. So that was our excuse. Go get out on the water. If
Yeah.
you're not flying, if it's too windy to fly, go out on the boat. So, we did all those things that I'm sure I've always said, you can't have a boat because the boat that went out the window last year.
Yeah.
So this is awesome to have
Everything went
everybody
out
back
last year.
and have
Yes.
people able to gather and be together. Get quasi. I wasn't used to coming to Albuquerque and having to mask indoors again because we haven't had
Oh, I
mask
know.
mandates.
Oh,
And
that's the same way.
Yeah.
And it feels like
And
it
it's
did when we
just-
first started.
Oh.
I didn't realize how used to it we'd
Right.
gotten, and then it feels like you're suffocating.
Well, we went to the Balloon Museum yesterday and I couldn't be there for more than an hour.
I wouldn't go.
Couldn't do it.
I just said, I said you have to wear masks. She said yes. She goes, we have some, and it's like,
not
I didn't
about
forget
that.
mine.
No.
I'm just not doing it.
It was just one of those
Especially when you
things.
come from a state that isn't restrictive.
Mm-hmm.
We don't all have
Right.
COVID in this state,
Right.
and you don't. Something, I mean, there are times you can tell. You
Well,
should mask up.
Between New Mexico and Michigan, I think those have been the 2 most restrictive states. I mean, even more so than New York. And my sister lived in New York, but she was in upstate. My brother-in-law coached baseball for West Point, so they were super isolated up there in the mountains and everything. And she's like, these most restrictions. I mean, we're 20 minutes from a store as it is. We're not close to anything. You know, we're by West Point. There's not a whole lot up here. And even for them, it was a weird bubble to be in. Nobody was really going anywhere, but it really didn't change much for them for the period of time they were there. But
Is your season coming to
for us, no, not at all.
You come back out here and do the...
No, we do winter flying. So as long as the ground is hard and there's no precipitation and the wind is light, we fly. Your propane.
Just park up. Huh?
Yeah. You don't get cold in the basket.
I bet you don't.
You don't get cold in the basket.
Oh, that's true.
Your toes might, your boots might, but you don't get cold in the basket at all. And we do longer flights because your propane lasts longer. It doesn't take as much to heat up the balloon to get it, warmer than outside air.
Weather, yeah.
So the northern pilots will do something called a long jump, and they will try to do distance flights and how far you can fly. I think the U.S. record's like 7 hours now.